Hey guys, Chris here. If you watched my last video, you know that I'm going to be building a mining shed out of a prefab building. So as promised, I wanted to go through in depth on the process, the costs involved, and everything else I'm going through to get this building built out. I think this will be pretty informative for everybody, or at least the folks that are thinking about doing this themselves. I want to go ahead and apologize up front for any shakiness in the video. As you can just see, my fingers came across the camera. Holding a cell phone, I thought this would be the easiest way to move around and not have a stationary camera. In future videos, I want to go over the business aspects of it. You know, the cost of the building, the cost of filing fees, IRS registration, EIN, things like that. So I finally got a call back from the company. Looks like the building's going to be delivered this coming Friday. So I have a video of when they're delivering the building, the setup process, and so forth. So obviously the building is just a shell, and I have to buy parts and pieces to be able to put the mining rigs in. Be able to build the racks, run electricity, the panels, all that stuff. And that's really what I wanted to go into in this video. So I'm going to go through item by item, quick description. Maybe you haven't seen some of this stuff before, maybe you have, but towards the end of the video, I'll go over the prices, what I paid exactly for all of this stuff. So most of this stuff has been purchased through Home Depot. Most of you guys probably have one, or Lowe's or some other retail store that you can purchase this equipment from. All right, let's start by going into the electrical boxes first. You've got a 3-gang, a 2-gang, this would be a 1-gang, and this is going to be for the lights. These are going to be hanging from the ceiling. If you're not familiar with them, they go on the side of the stud, and you simply nail them in at the specified height. And then run your wires through these holes right here. Then after you get done, you run the wires, you hook up to this. That's the next thing we'll talk about. 20 amp outlet. I'm going to do 20 amp outlets as a minimum. These are for the 110, 120, but I do have some NEMA L6 30 receptacles. That's going to be a 30 amp 220. Socket. But after you get done wiring them up, you simply plug them in here. You put the screws in, screw them down, and then you put your basic faceplate on. And if you can see already, I've got kind of a theme going on. The outside of the building is going to be black and barn red. So I'm going to try to keep everything kind of, I don't know, similar in color. The Vegas are all black and red. So just trying to stick with a common theme. Maybe it'll look a little more aesthetically pleasing. All right, your standard drill or drill bit. This goes in the end of your drill, and this drills through the studs and allows you to run the wire. I haven't purchased the wire yet, and the reason why I didn't purchase it from Home Depot is because Amazon has some tremendous deals on it. Quite a discount from your normal chain store. So I'll probably be getting most of the wire and other electrical bits and pieces that I need from Amazon or from an online reseller. All right, so these are staples. These are what you nail to the studs to hold the wires in place. And I know many places it's required by code. So I'm trying to do everything by the letter of the law, so to speak, and I'm going to use these to hold the wires. Quite a bit more than I'll need, but they didn't have any smaller packs. I've tried to save money where I can, even if it means cutting a few cents, as long as the item's quality. I'm not really concerned about, you know, how many I get. If I can get a good deal on something, I'll go ahead and buy it. Maybe I'll use some of these for some project in the future. Wall plates, as you can see, I'm only going to wire up the first half of the building. Well, I'm going to wire up the whole building, but I won't have outlets installed. I'll have the wires capped off. The right side of the building is going to be wired up and hot first. My current location, I really won't have an additional, the additional amperage I need. So I'm going to be limited. Eventually I'm going to move the building, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to get a portable building. It can be picked up and moved to a different location, which I will be doing in the future. And future videos, I'll go over that stuff. All right, so the next thing is the hangers here. Bought a couple packs of these. These are going to be holding my non-electrical, like Cat 5 or Cat 6 cables as they run along the studs. Fire extinguisher. Thought this is pretty important. You know, it's going to be pretty much an unmanned building unless I'm working in it. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire. It's one of those things that I hope I don't ever need it. But if I do, I would be able to get into the building and put the fire out. Obviously, it's very important, as you can see, for electrical equipment. There's many different types of fire extinguishers. Just do your own research. Make sure that they do cover electrical equipment and it's not meant for some other fluid or some other type of fire that it's not rated for. Some additional power strips. I've already got some, but these were fairly cheap. I think $13 or $14. We'll see in a minute with the receipt. But these are just for the 110 outlets, so I can extend away from the wall outlet and put my ancillary items that aren't going to be on 220, like your monitors and my firewall and my switch and that kind of stuff. All right, on to some more, I guess you could say, security items. Some motion detecting lights. It's going to go on either side of the building. Just gives me a little bit of peace of mind. If it gets dark outside, this is going to be in my backyard in a residential neighborhood. So it does give me a little bit of peace of mind that I can see the lights turn on. Tested the bulbs already. They're pretty bright. As you can see, I went with the LED bulbs. They don't use a lot of electricity as compared to the standard 90 watt. It says 12 watts. So if I've got all four of them going, it's less than one single incandescent standard light bulb. I did that here too. These are the bulbs that are going to go in. I'm actually only going to have 4 lights, but I'll have some extra. I got a good deal on these. All right, guys, so here's the receipt of what I just purchased from Home Depot, the stuff that I've just shown you. Obviously there were more. I just showed you one of each, but I did purchase multiple of those items, some of the items. As you can see, I'm not going to go line by line, but if you wanted to pause the video and look at the detail, you can see what everything costed. Obviously, I've got the stuff blacked out that I don't want people online seeing for obvious reasons. I did get a 10% off military discount. I am a former member of the military, so I'm trying to cut costs any way I can. And if I can get a discount through a certain retail outlet, that's generally who I go through. If I can save some money, cut some costs there. But we're looking at $223.61. So far, I mean, that's a fraction of one video card. And as you're going to see, I'm going to have a breakdown for the cards that I'm purchasing right now. I will be able to, which are the Vega 56s and 64s, I will actually be able to build this entire building out, prefab, with all the parts that I'm purchasing now, for less than the cost of 4 complete graphics cards. For me, that's a win-win scenario. I get the equipment out of my house, I get it in a safer location. If there were a fire, it would be away from my home. I can get insurance on the building, I can get insurance on the equipment, and all of this now is a tax write-off due to the fact that I've opened up a business for mining. All Alright guys, so some additional items. You can see on the left side there's a 225 amp breaker box. I probably won't be needing that full 225 anytime soon, as I don't have, you know, $150,000, $200,000 to build this thing out. But this does give me the incentive inside and the desire to fully utilize the equipment that I'm buying. So I went ahead and went with the 225 for future plans. I would like to have in the neighborhood of 160 to 180 cards in the building. That'll be kind of my stopping point. As you can see, there's a little breaker, surge breaker. It's rated at 22,000 amps. And I haven't said this yet, but I'm not a professional electrician. Never been an electrician, don't claim to be an electrician. So some of this stuff that you see, I'm going to be hiring professional services, a licensed electrician, someone who knows what they're doing, and that's definitely not me. So I just thought for $40, that little surge protector, if it can protect the building and the equipment from a lightning strike or something like that, that'd be well worth $40. Even if it doesn't work, it's just peace of mind on my part. The breaker box was about $119 for the 225 amp. It's a Square D, so it's name brand. All the breakers are going to be available. They're standard. They're going to be available from anywhere I need to get them. So I went with a good quality box. Again, I didn't want to skimp on electrical or anything that could get me in trouble down the road. All right guys, let's talk about the fan. So this particular fan has a thermostatic switch that I can obviously plug into 110, 120. Not sure if I'm going to be using it or I want to wire it directly to a switch. Either way, there's going to be a switch on one side of it where I can turn it on and off. But in the comments, guys, if you got any suggestions for me, I'd love to hear them. Please put them in the comments below. But this is a 1600 CFM fan. So the quick math that I did showed me that I've got about 500 CFM worth of volume inside the shed. So I wanted to be able to change that air out relatively quickly. You know, obviously we're going to be doing this in the cooler months. Hopefully when it gets warmer, I'll have a good AC unit where I can turn this guy off, seal it up real well. Again, I'd like some feedback. There's plenty of guys that are running these year-round. Obviously, it depends on the climate that you're in and other factors, but I think as long as I'm below, you know, 75, 80 degrees outside temp, I can probably continue to run this. The biggest thing is just getting the heat away from the cards. As you know, they're not. It's not a 150 watt TDP card that we're talking about, the Vega series. So they do run warm. They do like their electricity, and they do produce a lot of heat. All right. So the last thing I want to show you, there's two of these that I purchased, but these go over the fan. Obviously, the fan is going to be mounted with the mounting points with brackets to the studs in the building. Then I'm going to use a saw to cut the hole out to direct the airflow out of the building. In one of these automatic louvers, I think that's what they're called. It's obviously an exhaust vent, but it's automatic louver. They're very easily moved, so any kind of airflow is going to push these open. So I'm going to have one on one side of the building, probably around the door area, that's going to allow airflow into the building. Obviously mount it from the inside so the air draws in. And then another one over the fan so the fan can open it up with the airflow and push it out of the building. All right, guys, so that'll be it for this video. I've went through most of the parts that I have for the shed. Obviously, before I can do anything else, the shed's got to get here. I'll do a video at the time, as I've stated, of the shed coming in, and then many more videos of the work required to turn this into a mining facility or a mining farm. But thanks for spending time with me today, and talk to you guys later.